Welcome to the sports section live from Brothers Market. We're in the melon section here at Brothers Market. I'd like to welcome Steve Shetler as our host and co-owner.
Yes, the owner of Steve Shetler Media. Hey, welcome to Brothers Market on this Saturday morning with the sports section. This is our coaches show, which we're going to be doing Saturday mornings from 8 to 8:30 here at Brothers Market in beautiful downtown Sigourney. We've got Alan Sellers and Bruce Hahn as our co-hosts. Guys, it's great to have you on the air on Steve Shetler Media with the sports section, which we're going to be talking about sports throughout the sports year. At the high school, we're featuring not only Sigourney Keota, but also some of our area coaches. Alan and Bruce, let's get some of your background, guys, as you are both Sigourney natives and heavily involved in the sports scene here in Sigourney. Of course, you both are Sigourney graduates and played sports in high school. But Alan, why don't you tell us your current involvement in the Sigourney sports scene?
Currently, right now I run the youth flag football, kindergarten through fourth, Sigourney Keota and Pekin. I'm under my 23rd year of coaching football between high school and junior high. I've coached baseball with Coach Crawford, coached basketball with Coach Eslick. Kind of narrowed it down. I did the youth soccer for 20 years. But besides that, I mean, that's kind of my involvement. No, yeah, that's about it for now. So
definitely qualified to be one of our co-hosts. Over here, we've got Mr. Bruce on. Bruce, talk right into your microphone. Tell us about your involvement here in the sports scene in Sigourney.
I coach junior high football with Coach Sellers. I'm his assistant. I also coach high school boys track with Coach Jensen. I'm his assistant there. Coached a lot of youth flag football, a lot of youth soccer, youth baseball, youth softball,
some basketball probably as well.
Coached some high school basketball with Coach Eslick. I was Alan's assistant on the JV.
So yeah, again, heavily involved here in the sports scene here in Sigourney. So these guys are going to be co-hosting your sports section coaches show here on Steve Shetler Media for the next several months. Guys, I think we have a couple of guests that are lined up for us this morning. I'll let you take it from here.
All right, our first guest here is Coach Crawford. He's the Sigourney Athletic Director, and we just kind of brought him in today to talk about all the sports here for the upcoming fall.
You want me to go? Yep. Okay, just go. Okay. We just had our scrimmage last night, SK scrimmage. Coach Jensen will be coming in and talking about that last night and his season a little bit. Really excited for this fall. Obviously, with the SK football team, it has a lot returning, and they looked really good last night as far as I was concerned, and really excited for what they can do. Really excited for our coaching staff there. They've put a lot of time in this summer as far as those kids go, and those kids have worked really hard. Really excited, for really everything. Volleyball has put a lot of time in. They went to, I believe it was the Central Camp, and won the Central Camp. A lot of returners there. We got a new setter, but a lot of our hitters are back for volleyball, so kind of some excitement there as well. And then cross country, we have we don't have a lot of numbers in cross country, but we have some quality kids and some quality runners. And in Troy Klett, the Yateses, and then some good younger runners like Braden Clarion sitting down in junior high. So. Really we look for the fall sports to kind of set our culture and get our school year off and running, and really think we're sitting in a good spot right now.
Lee, who's some of your coaches for cross country, for volleyball? Okay.
Cross country is Devin Daly is our head coach. And then we have Cody Branson kind of being a volunteer coach there with her. He goes out and runs some marathons. And then Devin is actually, a Pekin graduate and kind of has Coach Idle's philosophies on cross country, so we've got that there. Sierra Davis is our head volleyball coach. Comes in with some years of experience as far as being an assistant, and last year was her first year as head coach. Thought she did an amazing job. And then we brought in Sydney Davis currently, I believe, as her assistant, her sister, and they've made a great combination this summer, and obviously early on so far. So looking for good things from all those people.
And what's your role, Lee, in the fall sports? I mean, for football, getting the fields ready, scheduling, referees, whatnot. I mean, I'm sure it's probably
I
everything.
kind of
but-
knew this question was coming from you, and really it's kind of like Operation Overwatch. I have a lot of confidence in our coaches and their abilities and what they do. So I was told by a great man in Dave Tremmel that, put good people in good spots and let them do their job. My job, making sure the fields are painted by our great janitorial staff and Jason Shiflett and Dan Utterback. Getting pylons out, making sure the flag's up, making sure the right things are read by you guys on game nights. By the way, these are my junior high football coaches. I've got to deal with them constantly. Just making sure our opponents know what's going on when they're coming to town, making sure. I think I ran out in the parking lot last night just to make sure we had officials, walking in the door right before 7 o'clock. So I do a lot of that stuff behind the scenes. It's not all flash and go.
Not all fun and games.
Not
like
all
everybody
fun. Not
thinks,
all
yeah.
fun and games. There's a little pressure, when the officials don't show up right away, or you make sure you've called the officials and hey, you're actually coming, right? But just double checking schedules, that type of stuff, and then really just helping coaches out. I do a little bit with the huddle program with Coach Jensen, a little bit on the scout end, and with the live stream do a little bit of scouting on our opponents for Friday nights, and then trying to help out the other ones. We've adjusted the cross country schedule sometimes depending on our runners to find them meets where they're going to be running the district meet, or finding volleyball opponents that kind of fit our mold right now. So there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff, and then really just helping our culture grow as a school with Mrs. Webb and being our leader and principal, and just making sure things are going the right way in the fall, because like I said, if we get the fall going the way we want to, the school year goes pretty fast. Kids are having fun, kids are having that educational experiences through athletics, and we're getting things accomplished.
Yep.
I know there's a lot of excitement through the fall sports and even through the winter and the spring sports.
Yep.
And I know the kids are excited also, and speaking to them and talking to them a little bit. What would you attribute like the culture change? I know for a few years it was kind of, kids really didn't care about sports, and now it seems like they all buy in. What would you attribute that to, in your opinion, as far as a culture change like that?
I credit our coaches a lot on that, Bruce. And you're right. If you go look at even the trophy cases over the last 4 or 5 years, the kids have been putting a lot of hardware into those trophy cases, and I really attribute that to our coaches and our administration backing our coaches, and the coaches basically putting their foot down and saying, we're not going to be a certain way. The other thing to attribute that to is the weight room. We put a lot of money into the weight room. Kids have bought into the weight room. Coaches have bought into the weight room. And I think, that's changed a lot of our culture as far as the buy-in and what you can accomplish by being in there.
Very good. I think Lee, thank you very much for coming on. Lee has a thankless job. Lee, you have a thankless job. And, fans, if you ever see Coach Crawford running around like a chicken with his head cut off at a game, maybe just stop and tell Lee thank you for all he does, because it is a thankless job. And a lot of people don't realize all the little things he does behind the scenes. So thank you, Lee, for coming on. We appreciate it, and go Cobras.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Good luck.
Thank you, Lee.
Thank you.
Okay, we'd like to bring on our second guest, which is the head coach of the Cobras, Coach Jensen.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yep.
Well, Coach, you had your first scrimmage last night, and if you just kind of want to give us a review and let us know how you thought, any guys that stood out to you, and kind of see where you're at for the upcoming week with Prairie City Monroe.
All right, I thought it was a good night to get out. Last year at this time we had some lightning and stuff, so our scrimmage got canceled, and I think that definitely set us back a little bit. So just to be able to get out there and go against another opponent finally rather than banging against ourselves was definitely a good thing. I think we saw a lot of good things last night. We saw a lot of things we still need to work on and coach up a little better, and we saw a few things that weren't so good. So you kind of expect that with a scrimmage, and you hope to see that if everything's smooth. Potentially you're going to find hiccups the next week, and I think what Davis County brought to us, it gave us that opportunity to really see, all right, hey, this is something that we need to make sure we cover a little more. This stuff, hey, we ran it well, we did well there. We can maybe stop paying so much attention to that and focus on our weaknesses a little more. So, I think overall it was a good night. I think with our numbers, having 62 guys out, I was unsure of how we were going to be able to run that scrimmage. Getting everybody ample time, and Davis County was willing to work with us and go 5 groups. Typically we just run 4 groups, and you're kind of stacking a few guys into each group that maybe played in the group before. But we were able to go 5 groups and really get an opportunity to see everybody. Now, certain positions they were out there for all 10 plays. Other positions that we were loaded up on, they kind of split reps. So, but we got a video of it. We can see, we can watch film. The film doesn't lie, and I think the kids are I know they're gonna be on watching. We're gonna be evaluating, and then come next week, we're gonna be able to kind of put our full depth chart together and really run with who we think is going to go get it done. So, I think I'm not. There's too many names probably to throw out there, but I thought our first group, went out maybe under exceeded their expectations. First few plays, Davis County did a pretty good job defending us. We hit a 3rd and long pass for a first down, so that was good to see. We got out of the hole, which typically when we're behind the chains, it's not really a good thing for us. So I thought they did well. We marched it down the field, hit our 10 plays, so didn't have an opportunity to finish the drive, but I felt good about them offensively. Maybe they didn't feel as good about themselves, but defensively, I thought we did a pretty good job really against them. I think maybe we gave up 1 first down in those 10 plays, and just kind of continued to grow off of what we had last year, and that's huge for us. We've got a lot of guys that have that experience, that are returning starters or maybe returning role players on the varsity. So we're in good shape there with the amount of guys we got. So offensively, defensively, first group I felt good about. Then we won our JV ones, and realistically it was, I think, against kind of their varsity guys, against our JV ones, and I don't know whether they got mixed up knowing who was coming in, but I thought our JV ones looked pretty good against I think maybe it was their kind of varsity plus some subs, but I thought they looked good offensively. Didn't put a drive to score together, but continued to kind of march down the field. And with those young guys we had out there, to going up against some of the older guys they had was good to see. Defensively, same scenario. Their varsity offense was essentially out there.
If I remember right, they only sniffed the end zone once last night, wasn't it?
Yep. And I think that was down in our 5th group. So, our younger guys. I mean, we had a few juniors on that group, but a lot of them were sophomores and freshmen with that JV1 group. I thought they stepped up and played well against them. And then we came back through and with our true varsity 2s, and first play, Jake Moore took it for a touchdown, and I think that kind of got the excitement rolling. I think prior to that, we didn't have any big plays other than the bigger pass from Stout to Kindred. Had some good runs there the first session, but that second team varsity, I mean, they kind of hit the switch and really went out running, and we had a good offensive session there and another good defensive session. And then we kind of got back down to our younger guys. We can focus and see what they have. We see them in practice, but a lot of times in practice, when we're going varsity, when we're going offense or defense, we have a varsity group and a JV group, so we're split separate. So a lot of times I try to bounce between the 2 groups, but I don't see as much out of the young guys in practice. We've got other coaches down there filling that role. So it was good to be able to see them go. I think there's some kids that we saw that we know are going to be really, really good players. And, going into it, you could see they have the skill, that you could see they've got what it takes to be successful. But you just haven't seen it out of them yet. And I think last night we saw a lot of good things out of those young groups, group JV 2 and 3, offensively, defensively. I know we gave up that one touchdown the last session with our JV 3s, but, one pass over the top, just got caught looking, and, that's one thing we'll have to get fixed. But I'm just excited about this group. 60-some guys all summer long, 3 days a week. We'd have 50 to 60 there every single day. I mean, we never dropped below that 50 mark, and I know there's a lot of stuff going on in the summer, but a few guys had to do this or that, and we never quite had our full team there every single time, but 98% of them were there all summer long, and I think that helped lead into what we have going on right now.
I feel like we're a very blessed 1A program. We go back down to our 5th and 6th tackle, and I know they got 40 kids out this year. Our
39.
junior high, we had 51 sign up. High school in our 60s. I mean, for a 1A program, we're very blessed to talk to some coaches, in the area that, they're pushing 30 kids out or 35, and here we're sitting with 60-some kids or 150 kids almost in our football program. So
yeah, I think when I started here in 2011. I think we had around 35, maybe pushing 40, and we were around there for a while, and we continued to grow, and people want to be around successful programs, and that's our goal: be successful, win a state championship. Every year in and out. A lot of teams talk. Yes, we want to win a state championship. I mean, I truly feel like the last few years we've been in that position to really believe that, and I think that's huge for the kids. But every year we've gotten a few more, and so we were kind of 35 to 40. A few years later, 40 to 45. A few years later, up to 50. Now we're growing into the 60s, and I think it's a great problem to have. I think it's great competition. In practice, I think a lot of teams that don't have numbers, their JV guys don't really get to run JV reps. They just run scout team, where we've got 33 older guys, so we're banging varsity versus varsity, older versus older, younger versus younger, and I think that's continued to really help with the success we've had. Getting those reps. Not just being on a scout team the whole time and then go out in a JV game and expect to be able to run your plays. Right. So we've been blessed. I'm just excited. Both communities, Sigourney and Keota, this is what they live for, and we want to put a good product on the field, but ultimately, kind of talking to the parents last night afterwards, the parent meeting, we've got really good kids. I mean, it's not just we've got good athletes, we've got really, really good kids. I'll throw this out there. When we went to Camp Dodge, we were in McDonald's in Altoona, and, bringing 60 guys into a place. I mean, I called ahead. They knew we were coming, but, you're always worried about somebody doing something, and I ended up getting an email from a lady stating how, she had 2 boys with her, and she loved to see the fact that our kids were so respectful, picked up, respectful to the other people that were in there, respectful to the workers, it put ourselves in a great light, and I think that's a contribution to the parents we have, raising their kids to be respectful and do what's right, and when you've got the majority of the team with that mindset, it makes our job pretty easy.
Yeah, and I can speak for all 4 of us coaches here. I mean, things like that mean more to you than a win sometimes. I mean, that's really rewarding as a coach. So, going on here further, Coach. Obviously, the weather's going to change here. I think as of tomorrow. How are you preparing this week with the heat situation and hydration, and what do you tell the kids here?
Well, we told them to make sure you're hydrating. I mean, we talk about that every day. I mean, we lose so much water in those pads, every day, that you've got to continue to build the hydration, because you're going to lose a ton, and it's going to be tough this week. I mean, we haven't seen weather like this all year long. A couple days 100 plus. I talked to Coach Crawford last night a little bit about our plan for next week, and we'll play it by ear. I think if we have to adjust, I don't necessarily want to adjust times to any later, just because
You're in that
the
routine.
difference between 98 and 96, not a whole lot. So realistically, hot's hot, and if we've got to do a few things, maybe shed the shoulder pads. During those hot days, naturally, you don't necessarily want to not be able to get after each other in practice. But I feel like our older guys are in a position where they understand the speed of the game and all that type of stuff. So, if we got to drop the pads and just go out and have a little more of a mental preparation week rather than a physical preparation week, we'll make it happen. We'll make it work. I know our kids will respond with whatever we do. But it's going to be interesting. I don't think I've ever. There's been some hot days we've had, but an entire week where it's.
And then unfortunately, with school starting too, you got to tie that in. So.
Yep. If it was in the summer, these last 2 weeks, we were going 5 to 8 o'clock. But with school starting, I don't necessarily want to keep the kids out till 8. Some of them aren't getting home till 8:30 or 9. So I don't know. We'll see next week how it goes. We'll adapt with whatever we need to adapt with, and. Just prepare to go 1-0 against PCM.
Yep. And my last question here for Coach, obviously a big game here right off the bat here next Friday against Prairie City Monroe. Have you seen any film on them, or what do you expect?
Well, they're going to be good. They're traditionally good. I think looking at their other sports, they've got speed, they've got size, they've had success in football in recent years, and I think it's going to be one of the toughest tests. I kind of equate it to last year going against Durant. We played Durant the year before. They were, junior-ish, had some studs. Those guys were all a year older and came out and played and really kind of got after us. And I anticipate the same thing. They're in the same boat. They're wondering, how are we going to beat these guys? Just like, we're one or two solid programs. This is like a playoff matchup, week one. So we're ready. Our kids will step up to the task and give it everything they got. And I feel like as long as we are prepared mentally, physically, and just go out and play as one, I think, we've got that opportunity to be really successful this year.
Why don't you give us a synopsis on the teams you play in your district this year, your non-district, what district you're in, and kind of your thoughts on some of those teams and how you think we'll fare in the district.
Yep. Non-district, probably one of the toughest non-district slates we've had in recent years. Go PCM. 2A playoff team. We got Mediapolis week 2. Last year, 1A playoff team. We played them to go to the quarterfinals. Bumped up to 2A. And then Mid-Prairie, who beat us last year as well and always has a solid program. Those are the first 3 games out the gate. So, it's going to be tough sledding. But I think we saw last year, having those tougher teams is going to definitely help us throughout the district. And, we're going to be able to see our weaknesses all 3 of those weeks, and to be able to work on that stuff through, games that I'm not going to say they don't matter. Every game matters, but we saw last year we dropped 2 in non-district, and still won the district. That's ultimately, like, these are prep games for the real season, and so I'm excited about having the competition we have. I feel like we got the guys to handle that business, and then we'll head into our district. I'm not sure the order of who we play, but we've got I think Cardinal right out the gate, first district opener. Pleasantville, Pella Christian. I think I missed one, but I know we finished with EBF and Colfax the second to last game. So, I think the district, I'm not looking ahead, but I feel like it's going to be that 2-man race with maybe a third trying to find their way in there between, us and Pella Christian. I think, you ask most people, that's probably your top 2 teams going to be battling it out. Pleasantville's shown growth over the last few years and does a lot of good things. Coach Mack over there does a pretty good job, and so those 3 teams, and then you got kind of the other 3 where I think they're still building. They've had success in the past, maybe down a little bit right now with Cardinal and Eddyville, and honestly, I don't know a ton about Colfax other than the other sports we play them in. They were in 1A this last cycle, but in a different district. So, it's good to get some fresh faces, some new faces, some teams we haven't seen, some teams that haven't seen us. I think with what we do offensively, if you haven't seen it, it's going to be tough to stop. And it's just going to be one of those things you can watch on film and kind of understand maybe what you're doing, but when you're out there and you see it, that's a tough task to handle if you haven't seen it before or played against it before.
All righty, Coach. Well, you got any more questions there, Al?
I got one more, Coach. I just like, since this is our opening day, just fill us in on your coaching staff and their roles in the program.
Yeah. Well, I'll kind of start down the grid. Obviously, I'm the head coach. I coach DBs with Coach Greiner, Luke Greiner, which was a former player. He's coming back and helping out. Offensive side of the ball, I work with the backs with Coach Kelly and Coach Greiner as well there. So defensively, I don't do a whole lot defensively other than coach. I'm more of on the offensive side. I'll coach the DBs up, understand what's going on, but I've got enough on my plate. So Coach McCauley is our defensive coordinator, runs the defense for us, and really does a good job. He's definitely learned over the years how successful this 4-2-5 defense can be, and Coach Weber kind of installed that, and Coach McCauley was with him. Once Coach Weber left, Coach McCauley was ready to jump on board and be the D coordinator. So, and he helps with the D line and O line as well as defensive coordinator. Coach Aaron Sellers, another former player, not of mine, but a Sigourney grad. Coaches the offensive and defensive lines. He's kind of, I might call the offense, but he's in the headset. We're always communicating back and forth. We put him up above because he can see stuff well. He knows what's going on within our offense, and so he's O-line, D-line. Coach Kelly's on board. Nathan Kelly came from Eddyville, took the science job a couple years ago and jumped on and helped us, and he does a lot just behind the scenes, kind of like Coach Crawford does with all our tech stuff. He's got that stuff rolling, and a lot of the jobs that no one really has time for. He understands that somebody's got to do it, so he'll just kind of take care of that stuff. But he helps me with the backs, helps coach linebackers. So he's kind of just a skill position coach in both aspects, and then he calls the JV defense as well. So well rounded. He's coached at a few different schools, and just understands the game intellectually, like the concepts of what people are trying to do. Then we've got a few guys that we added on board. Coach Trevor Weeks from Keota. He's been on board. He's kind of just a sponge. He's played sports. He was a great wrestler. But he came on board and just wanted to learn. And he's the guy that when you're in a coach's meeting, he is writing everything down. He's just that note guy. Put it on the board. He's going to draw it out. We talk about something. He's going to write down notes about it. So he does a good job of just learning, and does a really good job working with the kids as well. And then the last 2 years, I've already kind of talked about Luke. The last 2 years we've got Luke Greiner and Micah Harmsen on board with us as well, which is great. I mean, we were kind of a staff of 5, which is tough to really handle. Those 2 jumped on board, gave us 7, and it's much easier to work, within practice with all those guys. But Luke helps me with DBs, helps me with the backs. Mike is working linebackers and working up with the line as well. So. When we're working line, we've got 3 bodies down there, 3 or 4 guys down there working with those guys, which is definitely beneficial. And Micah and Luke kind of both split the JV offense. I think Luke's more of the pass-minded guy. where Mike is a little more of the run-minded guy. So they work well together, and I think that was all of them. But we've got a good staff. I mean, I think Coach Crawford kind of said it, put guys in the right places that you feel comfortable with, and I'm not a micromanager. When I put out our practice plans, I'll give you the indie time, team time, whatever. It's your job, go in and fill it out. What does your guys need to work on, And Coach McCauley does a pretty good job of, okay, hey, here's what I see the linebackers need to work on. Here's what I see the DBs need to work on. But, there's those drills that kind of everyday drills that necessarily we don't do every day, but we kind of try to hit them once a week at least. And it's just you take your position. Everybody's got a position group to coach. It's not like everybody's standing around. It's just you've got to work. I'm going to work with my group, individually, bring it together, and we should be able to see that stuff in teams. So, I'm just blessed to have the coaches we have, the support we have, the players we have. It's just a beautiful thing right now.
Well, thanks, Coach, for coming on today, and good luck against Prairie City Monroe.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Go Cobras. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
And we'll bring Steve Shetler back into the show.
Hey, just wanted to say once again a big thanks to our sponsor of this show, our headline sponsor, which is Brothers Market here in Sigourney, which, of course, you can come in and do all your grocery shopping here in downtown Sigourney. Because, of course, Rick Landry will be part of our show each Saturday morning, but he is at the State Fair this weekend. He's been up there for a while enjoying the Iowa State Fair. So, Rick, hope you're having a good time at the fair, and we'll see you here next week again at Brothers Market in Sigourney. Alan, I know you're throwing me a hint here. What are we doing? Some picks? Are we going to do some picks this year?
We're going to do some picks with our special guest picker, Lee Crawford.
All right.
Because Coach Jensen's involved in this, so we can't have him be picking. That might be illegal. So our first game here, and we're going to try to keep some points here through the season, and maybe Rick will give us some free watermelons. I don't know. But anyway, we got HLV TC versus Belle Plaine, and Belle Plaine is the first year 8-man football.
I'm going to go with Belle Plaine, just based off of probably the wrestling program the last couple of years, being aggressive kids. I'll go with I'm friends with all those ADs, so I got to be careful, but I'll go with Belle Plaine in that one.
I'm going to go with Belle Plaine, too. I just feel like those first-year 8-man football teams are usually pretty good. They'll get a few kids out that maybe don't normally go out, and it seems like they're always pretty good programs right off the bat.
And I will follow suit with Belle Plaine. I just think that HLV-TC combination there, I just for them to get to work together this early in the season, I think maybe a little bit of a struggle, but I think Belle Plaine's probably has a little more continuity to them.
All right, so unfortunately we all agree on that one. Our next one, Pekin at Cardinal.
I'll go with Coach Weber and Pekin.
I believe Coach Weber's going to get his first win in the season and beat Cardinal. So
I agree with both of them, unfortunately. I'd like to take Cardinal, but I can't go against Coach Weber.
And he'll be part of the show, too.
Yeah. Our third one is what I felt was kind of a decent matchup, is West Branch at Williamsburg.
Oh. Did you see West Branch change their football helmets? Has Butch on the side?
I did not,
all
no.
that stuff. So
they're playing with a little incentive.
they're playing with some incentive. I'll go with Williamsburg, though, on that one.
Williamsburg, okay.
Williamsburg.
Yeah, I got too many buddies from Williamsburg, so I got to go with the Big Red. So
I just think that with passing of their patriarch, and I just think West Branch is going to come out with some fire. I know Williamsburg lost some really, really good seniors last year, so I'm going to go West Branch.
So no free Elite Sports shirts for Bruce.
Didn't get any anyways.
Our fourth game, Washington at Oski.
Oh. I'll go with Oskaloosa. Maybe in an upset there.
Okay, I'm not for sure about this. I'm just going to go with the home team, Oskaloosa, here.
Well, I'm going to go with Oskaloosa because I know they got a group of kids coming through there in junior high. Really, really made us looked like we didn't know what we were doing. They had a really, really good class coming through, and I think some of those kids are probably, sophomores or juniors now. So I'm going to go with Oskaloosa.
Okay.
The scouting report from the junior high.
Yeah. Our fifth one, another tough battle here, SK at PCM.
Well, I've got to go SK. That's a no-brainer.
Yeah, with Coach Jensen standing here, no way do you go anything but SK. But nope, the SK all the way.
I'll go SK all day long.
And our bonus pick, which is worth 2 points, Columbus Junction at Meepo.
Oh, I know Mediapolis probably lost quite a bit from last year. I know they lost their tailback and some linemen. Columbus returns their tailback, who I believe did some visits at Iowa. So I'm going to go Columbus.
I'm going Mediapolis just because Jeff Martin from Meepo makes all these football helmets for me. So go Jeff.
I'm going to go with Columbus Junction. I watched their 4x1 team, which I know a couple of those kids are back, break the state record up there in the preliminaries, and I mean, they got some speed, and I think it'll be tough for Mediapolis to keep up with them. So I'm going to go Columbus Junction.
And that's our picks for today. And Steve, thanks for having us on the show today, the sports section show, live from Brothers. Coach Crawford, thank you for coming.
Thanks, guys.
Coach Jensen for coming. Hopefully we'll see you next week with some W's.
Yeah, thank you, Steve, for setting this up for us and everything. Coach Jensen, thanks for coming in. Coach Crawford, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. It's always a good time.
Always.
And if you like what you see today, call Steve and get a sponsorship for this.
Yeah, do some advertising.
Even if you don't like what you see today, call Steve and get a sponsorship for this. Do some advertising.
All right, thanks for tuning in, guys.